Maybe I should start with you, Mr. Mokoena, because you are one of the conveners of the march, but then came this threat. Why is it necessary that when people, of course, have got maybe legitimate demands, but why should it be accompanied by such threats?
Look, when we were at the Department of Transport, the message that was conveyed by the commuters was that we are aware that our government is wasting money on the trains that benefit of the people. For instead of us, our own trains, that of Metrorail, we rather at least go for the train that is useless, that is not, convenient for the majority of train users.
Let me come to Mr. Boya here, rail safety regulator. What are your responsibilities when it comes to ensuring that trains are out there, they are safe, and that they are not torched?
Thank you very much, Kolani. As a regulator, we are entrusted with the responsibility of ensuring that we oversee safety within the railway system. And as one of our responsibilities, we do check on how trains are actually operating, and we do take statistics on how many damages, how many malicious damage to property, and actually how many, in general, the safety of the operators and the operations as a whole. Now, obviously, it is a concern to us when a property is damaged as a result of whatever the reasons are, from commuters or from any other people that are actually damaging and affecting the safety of the system.
And you collect stats about these things. Let's talk about this year. How many trains have been torched?
In this year so far, which is the 12-13 financial year, in our statistics, we've got 104 trains that have been damaged. Out of those 104, only 21 of those trains were due to damage in relation to malicious damage to property. The rest is as an issue of high tension fires due to lack of maintenance on the trains, in terms of them, because of the overhead wires and the electricity. Then they will be torched. There will be fires. But out of the 21, those are the ones that we're saying are malicious damage to property. And that those are the ones that we actually deal with.
And what kind of figures are we talking about in terms of damages incurred?
Look, in terms of rands and cents, in some of these cases there will be no fatalities in particular. It might be just damages in particularly to the coaches themselves, and some of them might be damaged, and what it effectively does, it removes those coaches out of the system, and it reduces the number of trains at a particular time that Metrorail can actually run during that time. But there hasn't been any so far in relation to, as far as we know, fatalities as a result of that. What also is a problem, I suppose, in some of these cases, Kolani, is that some of these trains are torched standing in the yards at awkward times. It's not during operational hours. It will be at night when they're standing in the yard, some of them. Now, that to us is a concern.
Do you not find it strange, though, that people take it out on trains? If they are angry, venting their anger, they take it out on trains.
It is something that we don't understand, because these are the same trains that try to assist the commuters to make sure that they get to their places of work on time. And we then don't understand why a person will damage something that is supposed to assist them to be able to get to work. Maybe there's a lack of understanding or whatever the issues are. We don't know at this stage as a regulator as to the reasons why people will do what they're actually doing.
Right, I'm going to come to you in a minute, Mr. Mfokeng, because I would like to know, from PRASA's point of view, what you know about this issue. But let me read you one or two SMSs before I come to you. There's one from Sajini Ndenzo who says, those who torch trains are stupid. They don't use their minds. Tabo Mapula says, indeed, Metrorail must improve their trains like Gautrain. That's Tabo. Another one from VS and KZN. Train or damage to any property must be given 10 years jail sentence. We cannot continue like this. James says people that torch trains should be shot with live bullets, and the people arranging should pay there as well. and perhaps you may want to respond to these SMSs, Mr. Mfokeng, but a big one for you, right at the beginning, do you even know who these people are? Because there's been all sorts of speculation. Does PRASA know who these people are?
We don't know who the perpetrators of this violence are. But I think in the past 3 months or so, you have seen a sharp increase in the number of incidents where trains are damaged, torched, bent. In some instances, it's just the motor coach, which is the anchor of the train. Mm-hmm. Clearly, for me, that speaks to issues of sabotage and all of that.
Past 3 months in particular?
Yeah, the past 2 months have been particularly, we've seen a very, very sharp increase. And strangely, this coincided with the strike by the NTM. So
what is NTM?
We don't know. The National Transport Movement, I think.
Are you implying that they may be behind this?
No, I'm not saying they're behind it, but it is a bit strange for us that since the start of the strike, you've had this disturbing, sharp increase in the number of our trains being banned. And particularly, I mean, the NTM strike started on the 18th of January. And since then, you have had about 14 trains, well, it's not the entire train, but coaches in a train being banned and so on. So it's pretty high.
You also are talking about sabotage, but why would people say that? One of the SMSs, for instance, says Metrorail must improve their service. Could it also be related to bad service from Metrorail?
I think bad service, I don't think I can say with with confidence that yes, it is bad service. In some instances, our staff work pretty hard. But let's face it, the fleet at our disposal, it's pretty old. The trains are like 50 years, 40 years, and all of that. And were not maintained over that period. So at some point, you are bound to have the collapse just in the system. But the management of PRASA and the team is working very hard to make sure that the system doesn't collapse. You probably are aware of this. We've invested 123 billion rand over the next 20 years to replace the existing fleet. So, but between now and 2015, until when we get the new trains, there's a lot of work that we are doing to ensure that the system doesn't collapse in our hands.
Right. Mr. Mokoena, one of the things that's coming through is a complaint that the service is terrible when it comes to Metrorail. And this has come through before, where people are saying that the trains are torched because they don't arrive on time, the service is terrible. Is that justifiable in your mind?
Tolani, the issue of torching train is not justifiable. In our meetings at Mabopane in December, when the trains were suspended last year, we were talking to commuters to say, really, really, let's do the introspections of ourselves. Is it right for us to touch our own properties? But we all agree, we all came to an agreement with commuters that, no, really, it's not right because the trains belongs to us. We cannot go on torture the trains. We rather take to the streets and indicate to the country to say, here's a problem that is being ignored for years.
But what is the problem?
The problem is poor service that is being rendered by PRASA. Look, the trains are...
Is it possible that because of that poor service, people then end up torching, in your view and in your experience? Is it possible that the two are linked?
Look, last year, as I'm saying, at Mabopane line, the line was suspended. The train was late at about... The train, according to the news, was torched at around 10 in the midnight. Mm-hmm. Now, you find our mothers there. You find our brothers and sisters there. At that time, what is the train looking for at that time? At 11 o'clock. The people are always frustrated. The issue is here, Kolane. The previous Spornet, they used to provide an alternative transport. They would take buses or either take this diesel head to pull out the train where the line or maybe the power is off. But now, since PRASA and Metrorail came in, there is no alternative transport that is being provided by PRASA. People, every day, people get frustrated. So I do not say people ban trains because, they are happy, they enjoy doing that. But at Mabopane, hence it happened. The line was suspended because people are every day and there's no answer. If there's no communication, if there's no one who is telling you this train is being delayed for this much and the PA systems are not working, there's nothing that is working.
But Mr. Mfokeng here says their staff at Prasa, they work very hard.
Yeah. Sorry, Xolani, to intervene. I think I would like to correct two things. The first one, Mr. Mokoena, 10 o'clock is not 10 o'clock at night is not midnight. That's one. Secondly, I would like you to define for me when you say poor service, what you're referring to, so that I deal with specific issues instead of just making general blanket accusations to
poor service, Mr. Mokoena?
Yes, Xolani, we are talking about people are being fired at work because they are always late. From January to December, people are late every day. There is overcrowding in these trains. Look, I want to give you a scenario. When you go to this Gautrain, it's only 4 coaches, and our trains are normally 10 to 12 coaches, and there is overcrowding in there. And the safety as well is not guaranteed. Look, in Atteridgeville, there was an incident that occurred. The stationary trains was hit by the train that was coming, and people got injured. What bothers most here, Xolani, is that always Prasa will tell you about the damages of the Metrorail, but let's ask about the statistics of people who got injured in these trains. They will never tell you how many people they injured, because some of the injury that are occurred because of the accident that are occurring on these trains is because of their negligence. Can they tell us the statistics of how many people got injured? Because some are crippled today as we speak because of the trains.
Mr. Mfokeng?
Thanks, Xolani. I want to reiterate this point. Mr. Mokoena, please be specific when you talk about poor service that is provided by us at Prasa.
He's talking about overcrowding. He's talking about people being fired at work because the trains are late. And respond to that. The overcrowding, the lack of safety.
Xolani, let's talk, for instance, about the issue of the trains being late. I mean, you've mentioned this morning that the Gautrain has been delayed due to cable theft and so on. Those things are beyond you and I. They happen. You will be late, unfortunately. And
so cable theft is the reason why trains are late?
No, it's not only cable theft.
Are there no deviations that happen at operational level where you find that a train that is supposed to leave at 11 leaves at 12:30?
No, our trains are not like 5 minutes apart as they are at the moment. That's why you will have issues of overcrowding, because the guy who misses the 7 o'clock train is worried that in the next 10 minutes there's not going to be a train, and therefore he gets there, the train gets overcrowded because he's thinking, I'm going to be late at work, I'm going to be fired. But with the new rolling stock that's coming, the new trains that are coming, we are attempting to address all of that.